Hi everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to today's video. So today's video I can honestly say I'm not excited to do. And that's because I'm talking about something that was really stressful, and that was me getting my Instagram account disabled for no reason. So this is going to be a two-part video because I have two channels if you don't know. This channel is Shannon Ford. This was my original channel, and it was originally Disney travel family type vlogs, and then I started kind of going into beauty content, and now I've since created my own channel there. So I'm going to be posting two videos, but one on each channel, just to kind of explain what happened and why I really haven't posted on YouTube in the last week and a half, because I was dealing with Instagram. So let me tell you what happened. So like I said, I got my Instagram account disabled, and this was not part of the Instagram down on Halloween on October 31st. Mine actually got disabled on Friday, October 21st. What happened, I was in Disney World with my son, and we had gone to this Disney Vacation Club member event, and I had taken some pictures, and while we were waiting in line at Cosmic Rewind, I started trying to post pictures from that event to my Instagram, and I kept getting an error, and I thought it was because I was on the Disney Wi-Fi, which is always pretty sketchy, and I kept getting an error. And then when we finally walked out of the ride, I got, your account has been suspended for 30 days because for violating our terms and conditions or our community guidelines. I didn't screenshot that one because I was just dumbfounded, and it said, please here, you have 30 days to appeal here. So I immediately appealed, did whatever it told me to do, and said, okay, we will review your account. You'll get, notified within 24 hours. It was really upsetting. I was with my son. My husband wasn't with us. I wanted to post pictures so he could see, so my family could see, and I couldn't. Obviously, I still had Facebook, but usually what I did is I posted pictures to Instagram, and it went to both Instagram and Facebook. And I knew I hadn't violated any of the community guidelines. The only picture I had posted was the night before when we went to the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. Literally, we took a picture, a selfie, right before the two of us, and I put, let's boo this, and I never even posted anything else because I was by myself and I just didn't have the capability of parenting and doing the party and actually doing social media. So I hadn't posted anything. That was the only picture I had posted. So it was very surprising to me. So I kind of was like, and then I tried to do all the appeal forms. I started looking, and was up late that night. We got back to the resort. I had my MacBook with us, and I started getting on there and started looking but I couldn't submit anything. So what I learned is that you have to wait those 24 hours before you can submit the appeal form. What's probably going to happen in those 24 hours is, if you are watching this and you're in that 24-hour, no one's going to look at it and you're going to be disabled. That's just what's going to happen. Because I've had my account for 9 years and almost 10 years, and never had an issue. And I could prove I was, had taken pictures of my license, proved everything. Nobody responded, nothing. So waited the 24 hours. Saturday, we went to Legoland, which that's a video that's coming. We went to Legoland, and I tried to log on, I think later in that evening, I think actually when we got back to the resort, and it said, you have been, permanently disabled, for violating our community guidelines. And then I tried to log in, and that's when I got the message that said, you were disabled for pretending to be someone else. And I don't know if they were saying that my son was pretending to be Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, because that's what he was dressed up as for the Halloween party, but I have never pretended to be anybody else. I have always been Shannon Ford. I am legally Shannon Ford, and my username was, at one point, my original username was Real Mrs. US, because I started it when I was Mrs. United States, or right after I was Mrs. United States, and I used that. And then I changed it when I started competing in a different system, I think in 2019, and that's when I changed it to Mrs. Shannon Ford. And but it's always been, Shannon Ford. So I was just kind of dumbfounded. So I started looking online and I started submitting the appeal forms and doing whatever I could. I took a picture of me with my license, I took a picture of me with my license, and I found the form that I could submit that to. I never get a response. I had seen online that a lot of people had said that they had gotten a response like, okay, take a picture, here's a code, take a picture with it. I never got that. I never got anything. I checked my spam. The only thing I did was get an email from Facebook saying your account is permanently disabled. That was it. And so I just was like, okay, I just tried to submit the form a couple times and decided to wait until I got back, back to home, because I was with my son. And I will say it really kind of dampened our trip. It just sucked, to be honest. That's where I end up right here. And I'm going to tell you how I got my account back. So again, I started doing some research. There's a lot of videos on here of people having the same thing, but a lot of things have changed. So I tried to watch videos that were more recent. I am going to leave the comments open. However, what I noticed with other videos is that there were a lot of scammers. There was a lot of scammers like, oh, this guy helped me get my account back. I did research and I watched a couple of videos where other people were able to get their money back, their accounts back, but they paid somebody. One person paid $2,500. One person paid $5,000. I just can't afford it. And it's like, yes, I do want my Instagram account back, but I couldn't afford that. So my thought is that there are scammers out there that are targeting people that have somewhat of a following. I don't have a huge following on Instagram. I think I'm in like 3,800. However, I did have a couple reels recently back in September that have done really well. One specifically has like 1.2 million views. It's not, for me, that's a lot. And I think maybe I was targeted that way, but people are targeting people that have a decent following, have something to do with social media, and get their account disabled, and then you pay them to fix it. That's the only thing I can think of, because I never impersonated anybody else. And this is happening to so many people. If you look online, it's happening to so many people. Separate from the glitch that happened on Halloween, which, I think that's a separate issue with Instagram, which obviously a lot of people are still without their account. But there are people that are targeting and are trying to disable people's accounts and then targeting them, saying, hey, I can get your account back. And they actually can. Don't know how they do it, but they actually can. Obviously, this is something that Instagram needs to fix. But so let's get into how I got my account back. Okay, so like I said, I did all the appeals forms and I was doing them several times a day. And then I did watch somebody that had a social media account that said to not do it more than twice a day. And I had heard somebody else, I watched another video that said she didn't get any response from Instagram until she found somebody. She found somebody that worked at Instagram within a group. And that person submitted a ticket and she had her account back in 3 days. So I did all of the appeal forms and everything. That is going to be in the separate video that I'm going to talk about of things that you can do to try. I will be honest, right now, they haven't worked. What I did is I just kind of posted, does anybody know anybody at Instagram? And it was through a friend in a casual conversation that said, hey, I actually have a friend that works at Instagram. And he put me in contact with somebody that worked at Instagram who reached out to me, and I was able to give him all my information. I sent him the picture of my license and me and my license and even my passport, all my information that I had, and he was able to reinstate my account. Now, it took like 2 days after he contacted me. It did take 2 days, but I personally do not think that I would have gotten my account back, at least definitely not in the time frame that I did, if I didn't have the contact. I have yet to get any response from Instagram from any of the appeal forms that I submitted and any of the other avenues I've gone. I got my main account back within 7 days. So this is where it's kind of, because when I heard the one person say, you need to find somebody, I was like, how am I going to find somebody on Instagram? I did go on LinkedIn, and I had a couple people that knew somebody that worked at Instagram. I messaged, I want to say 10 of them that I was able to message, and not one person responded. Not one person responded to me through LinkedIn. And these were people that were connected to, I think 5 of them were connected to someone that I knew really well, a former colleague, and nobody responded. So that's one way to try, is trying to find somebody through LinkedIn. I will say Twitter doesn't seem to work, but if you can find a physical person. I did also try doing, I did have a Facebook ad account, and I did get a chat. Guess what? Didn't work. They were like, okay, thank you so much. We've seen that you've opened your appeal. We're not transferring it to Instagram. Never heard another thing from them. So I know that's a big thing where people are saying, you know, you got to open an ad, and you got to pay for an ad, and you got to do all this so you can chat. I had that. I chatted with somebody. The person actually called me on the phone. We talked for a half an hour, and he says, I'm going to do everything I can. And I believed him. I believed he could do everything he could. And then he sent me an email about 2 hours later and says, you know, I work for Facebook. There's nothing more I can do. Instagram confirmed that they have your appeal. They will get to it. That was it. That's all I got. So my best advice is, if you're trying to get your Instagram account back and you violated, now it's saying that you pretended to be somebody else. Now, if you violated the community guidelines, I don't know what to tell you. And if you got hacked, I don't know what to tell you. But if you were disabled for pretending to be somebody else, or wrongfully disabled, then my best advice is to just really beg for anybody and trying to find somebody that works at Instagram, because that's really going to be the way. Don't ask me for my contact. I'm not going to share it. This was not my friend. This was a friend of a friend who was very, very gracious to do that for me. I am completely grateful to that person, but I am not going to be sharing that information. But that's my advice to you. Now, in the other video, which I'll post at the end, and I guess I'll post up here, is I'm going to talk about the other steps that I've taken. So I did take, I'll talk about the 2 forms that I filled out through Instagram, as well as agencies that I filed reports with and complaints with, which ones I would suggest, which ones I would not, and where to go from there. So that's going to be in the next video. But if you're watching this, first of all, really sorry you got your Instagram disabled. Know you're not alone, and my best advice is to keep trying. But if you don't know anybody, then go ahead and watch the next video, which I'll tell you some of the things that I did.